Hi, 6th grade. For you, it's Friday, April 3rd, and I don't have much to talk about today other than what's going to be due today, the last day before your spring break. Woohoo! Where you get to try new things at home instead of doing the homework I've laid out for you to do. So let's go over what you're going to have due at the end of today, the 3rd on Friday. So you have finished reading The Hawk That Dare Not Hunt by Day, Book 2 by now. Your questions for Book 2, which are under Resources and Homeroom of RenWeb, will be due at the end of today. So make sure you get those uploaded to Homework Dropbox, or if you can't do that, then email copies to me via picture or scan or whatever works best for you. The other thing that is due today is your writing. In No Red Ink, you were writing a prompt that was 2 paragraphs, each with a 7-sentence minimum, telling me for the first paragraph some of the things you miss now that you realize there are opportunities or things that are gone during this coronavirus time, and paragraph 2 on the new gifts that this season has brought you. So that should be finished up and turned in today. If any of you have not completed any other assignments in the past, I'll be combing through to look for missing assignments to send you reminder emails. But if you could please go through the previous homework to make sure you've sent me everything as well, that would save me a lot of effort on my end. That's all the new stuff I have for you today. Just to remind you to turn things in before spring break so that you're not behind, so that you can kick back and relax over spring break as I finish up your quarter 3 grades and start getting ahead on planning quarter 4. Today I'd also like to share with you by reading off some of the enrichment activities. I sent you a document a few days ago with enrichment activities, and I thought I would kind of share what some of them are in case you haven't had a chance to open that document or look into it. There are a couple different sections. I have a little mini section on photography, poetry, science, art, penmanship, and of course reading. So let me go through a few of those with you. I know Mr. Howell, your art teacher, I think he might be putting together some art enrichment that might include photography exercises, but on this enrichment document I sent you with some ideas. There's also a link for photography lessons for kids. That could be really cool. It doesn't look like you need a lot of equipment, probably just access to a regular camera or a device with a camera, like a phone. One of my other enrichment ideas for you was poetry. It is your chance to document what life is like for you during this pandemic. If you think about this, this might be a story you tell your grandkids about. It sounds kind of crazy that we're living in a time like that, but you really have an amazing opportunity. So I would encourage you to document it through poetry or just journaling, creative writing. This is your moment to shine at this point in history, so don't miss out on that opportunity. For science, I linked Science Buddies, which is a website that has a lot of science experiments, and it has a science experiment wizard where it helps you narrow down things that you're interested in, how much time you have, the materials you have. So if you want to try some of your own science experiments at home, using things that are readily available to you, you can filter it down to figure that out. And I encourage you to try your hand at some science experiments and maybe even see if you can graph your results, because that will combine what we've been learning this year in science and math. Also, baking is a science as well. There's a lot of chemistry that goes on when you put in baking sodas or baking powders or yeast to make things rise. You gotta have correct measurements. You can practice your fraction skills. So if your parents will let you in the kitchen, maybe you can tell them it's an opportunity to work on the culinary arts or the culinary sciences. It can be seen either way. Speaking of art, I would encourage you to try some things that you haven't yet in art. I gave a link to you of an art activity that uses linear perspective, which is a tie-in to the Renaissance and the great artists of that time who originated and perfected linear perspective. If you're up for a challenge, I also put a link in this enrichment document about linear perspective and its the science behind it and kind of the ratios involved, which is really cool, but definitely for those who are seeking to stretch their minds. Obviously, you can practice penmanship during this time. Maybe you want to do handwritten letters to people in beautiful cursive. I would appreciate some mail for you all. A few people have asked for my address, which I appreciate. It's going to be fun to get mail from you. Hopefully I'll be able to write mail for you. If I get something, I'll do my best to send something back. So these are some things you can work on over this break that's coming up. And the last one is hopefully the most obvious for a lot of you. I see you bringing in books to school, or I saw you bringing in books to school. Read, 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 read. You have so much free time now. So I would encourage you to, on top of the shortened workload you have for school, to read for pleasure, read for fun. Find something that you're interested in, research it, read up on it, or find a great story to just sink your teeth into. A few of you over our Zoom last week complained that the libraries are closed, so you're having trouble finding books. I linked Project Gutenberg in the enrichment text, which has uploaded a ton of books, but only ones that are public domain. I think it's because of the age of those books. A lot of these books are much older classics, but you will have access to a lot of books online if you want to print out a chapter at a time, or if you get permission to use some of your screen time for reading. So those are just some of the things I would encourage you as we head into spring break next week to maybe open up that enrichment ideas guide and dive into some stuff that you can do to learn and to love learning in the context of kind of the broader spectrum outside of your schoolwork. So that's my wish for you, my prayer for you. I won't be posting any videos next week. I'll be preparing for when we come back for quarter 4, but that doesn't mean you can't reach out via email or via snail mail to correspond with me. I might not be checking my email quite as frequently during that break week because I get a lot of things done, but definitely reach out if you have any questions or if you just have something that you'd like me to know. All right, 6th grade, until I see you again.